This is the VO Life. Positive conversations about living the voiceover life. Insight into the business and day-to-day grind of being a regular Joe VO. From the humble beginnings to the finally hitting a new level to getting that first big client. It's all about that VO life. Here's your host, Troy Holden.
Hey, and welcome back. It's the VO Life. Where in the heck have I been? My gosh, I have not recorded a new podcast episode in so long, I almost forgot I had a podcast. Is that not terrible? But being busy is a good problem to have. And then when you're busy, and you get stressed, there's a thing called burnout. And I was not really to that point of burnout, but I was ready for a break. And oddly enough, just a couple of weeks ago, I had done for a healthcare association a video and or narrated the video. Well, actually, I did the video as well on healthcare burnout, where people in the healthcare industry are dropping out of the business like crazy. And so by reading that, it made me zone into some things for me. And we had already had a trip planned, thank goodness, which was such a wonderful time this past weekend. And let's put a date on this because this will come out after the trip, of course. But I got back home on the 10th. I was gone the 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th. Got back home late. Well, not late, but like 6, 7 p.m. on the 10th. And my wife and I went with her sister and her sister's husband over to Gatlinburg, and we rented a little A-frame cabin. And my goal was, I'm going to post some stuff on Facebook. Here's some pictures. We're having fun. And unfortunately, there was a fire while we were there, and we were right there on the strip right after it happened that morning, or after it had gotten started. They were still putting it out. And unfortunately, someone was caught up in the building and passed away. We didn't know that until after we got home, but we saw all of that, and there was so much going on. And I was posting some pictures about different things, but I don't know, maybe other than one night I answered a couple of questions where somebody had messaged me, and I try to do that, but I really tried to unplug. I didn't look at voices.com, Voices123. I shut my Fiverr off. I had everything, prepared with my direct clients that, hey, I won't be back till Monday night. If it's an emergency Monday night, I'll get it for you. But if it's not, you can send it and let me know it can wait till Tuesday. And that all works out fine, a lot better than what I thought. Now, I don't know how to work on the Fiverr and Upwork as far as getting your visibility back and all that. Whatever happens, because I'll tell you, this is the 11th, Tuesday, and I've been busier than a one-armed paper hanger, and I'm thankful. My voice is a little raw, but I wanted to get this out while it's fresh in my mind about time out. Sometime you got to just time out. You got to do it. You got to turn it off. You got to unplug. You got to walk away. Why do you need to do that? Well, there are two reasons for me, and one may surprise you, and we'll talk about physical. Why do you physically need to unplug and get away and take a time out? And two, of course, it's the mental aspect of it. But let's look at the physical. Number one, I feel like I'm reading another YouTube script. Number one is getting some voice rest. Your voice needs a break. I'm talking much quieter today because I had so much to do. So I have really on purpose bumped my gain up just a little and got a little closer to the mic, and I've talked in a more subtle tone. And I could tell it. And I told a couple of my clients, I said, if it's too subtle, let me know. And they go, oh, no, it sounds great. But I did that. I really made an effort today, to keep it down, because while I was gone, I laughed, I cut up, I'd inhaled smoke from this fire, a lot going on. When I got home, I was a little raspy, and I actually wanted to rest my voice more than I did, but we had so much fun talking and laughing, about nothing to do with this. And that probably helped the other side, the mental side, more than it did the physical side. But if you're able to, whether it's even over the weekend, rest your voice, talk quietly, drink some, herbal teas and things, and do some things to help your voice. The other thing you can do physically is changing your routine around a little bit. Maybe you routinely go for a walk a certain time of day. Maybe move that time of day back a couple hours. depending on the weather. Maybe, take your walk at a different time, move it further out, back it up, whatever. Change your routines around. One thing I've done is I've always been a breakfast eater. I stopped eating breakfast. I eat my lunch early, like 11, where I used to eat at 12:30 or 1, but I eat lunch about 11, and we eat again around 5:30 or 6 or 7. But I eat a light lunch, and then we eat again, and I'm done. And by changing that 2 miles a day, my 2 meals a day, I wish I could go 2 miles a day. My physical feels better. I'm eating a little better, a little healthier, and I'm slowly making the change versus saying, on Monday, I'm going on a diet. No, I'm trying to make the right physical changes to help myself long term. And then think about atmosphere and environment. Maybe you need to change things around in your booth. Maybe you need to, to avoid burnout. We're saying make changes. How can I update or upgrade without spending money? What can I do different? Or how can I change my routines during the day? And then when you're saying long term, well, if I'm going to make a change to help me physically, I'm leaving for a few days. And that's what we did. We went off to the mountains, and the realization hit me pretty hard. I need to do this at least 2 to 4 times a year, even if it's a weekend, which with my wife working weekends, it would have to be during the week. We'd have to go Tuesday, Wednesday, or Wednesday, Thursday or something. But now that I know I can do it and things aren't going to totally fall apart, and they're not gonna, but we just think it will because we're not there to answer. We're so used to replying in less than an hour. And, these people have to do the same thing we do. Surely your clients have to take a break. But, get away. Get out of your, away from what you normally do. And how do you tie the mental into all of this? So you're saying, I'm going to rest my voice. I'm going to change my routines. I'm going to go to a different place for a while. And that does get you out of this cycle. And then when you come back, hopefully you miss your work and you're ready to go back. But how does it help you mentally? When you leave, focus on everything but what you do for work. Focus on you. Focus on your spouse, your kids, or whoever goes with you. Truly disconnect from your business for a few days. It'll be there when you get back if you're running it the way you should. You don't ever truly emotionally bail out from it, but make the effort to not look at, your Facebook groups, for voiceover, or your pay-to-play stuff, what's going on with my stats. No, don't do that for a few days. It's just a few days, and really focus on who you're with and what you're doing. And if I can say it any better, I would just say it this way. Go somewhere and laugh, love, eat, drink, explore, and splurge emotionally. Splurge. Get rid of all that stuff, and you'll come home feeling so much better. You'll just feel like you've lifted a burden off yourself, and you just went and back to who you were. You dug back into who you are, and you gave to the people you love. And it's a good time to tell them how much you appreciate them for allowing you to do what you do. Without support, a lot of us couldn't do this, especially those of you and like me who are new, and especially if you're full time, there's got to be a spouse supporting you probably, or you wouldn't be able to do it. So today I saw a post somebody had put on about, what do you do when you're burned out? And I think they were talking about short term. What can I do today for today's burnout? Here's a couple of things that I like to do. And I'm learning this because now I'm going into the fourth quarter of full time. I've had I've had 9 months. So here we go with month 10, 11, 12. I'm in different and better routines. I use, one of the things that I do, I set and take breaks. I make sure that if I try to get started every day by 8 or 8:30, about 10:30, I take a break. I get out of the booth or away from the desk. I go up to the kitchen. Usually by then I'm thinking about lunch coming up at 11. I might make another cup of coffee. I'll play with the dog. I'll go, check on things in the house. Heck, I might even wash a load of clothes in the washer. something that's not voiceover for 20, 30 minutes. All right. So my mind is now clearing. I'm over the last auditions I did. I'm not worried about them. I'm doing something else. Another thing is when you take these breaks, walk, stretch, maybe do some cardio. Like I said, go find your pets, spend a few minutes with your pets. If you have the ability to do this, I live out in the country, so there's only one place to go, which is the Mexican restaurant that's 4 miles away. Everything else is 10, 15 miles away. Go somewhere for lunch if you can afford to do that a couple days a week, and see people. There are other humans there. You may not see anybody but at least you're around people. I think that's good to have some interaction and you get up and move around. I would love to be able to go out here a couple days a week and jump on a horse for 30, 40 minutes. And I probably could. I just need to make a better effort at something like that. I can just take a ride across the road and unwind for a few minutes and come back. But that's going to take an hour, and I can't always take an hour. Another thing that I do is I use a notebook and a steno pad. My notebook is a date book. It's, one of those 8.5 by 11 or full size, whatever. And it's got 3 days on each page, and it's broken out by hourly and then by every 15 minutes. And I put notes in there all the time. Like, this morning I knew I needed to send out some emails for the local chamber podcast. I didn't have anybody lined up for next Monday's show. They want to put one out every Monday, and everybody I've recorded, we're done. We finished up. And, so now I don't have anybody for Monday, and I'd email people before I went on vacation. Nobody answered. So this morning I wanted to make sure there were 3 people to get scheduled, and I jumped on that. Well, I had that on there, got the check mark. I knew I had to do a thing for Hunting Extreme, and I wrote that down, Hunting Extreme, the YouTube stuff I had and how many. And then I blocked an hour because I knew I couldn't catch up on all the auditions I missed, but I want to get the latest ones in there where I'm early or as early as I can be. So I blocked an hour to do that. And then I blocked the next 2 hours to do work that I had in the queue. And then I blocked the time that I'm doing right now to get a podcast out. I'm really big on blocking time. You can't always exactly schedule 1,000%, but you can put blocks in there of an hour here, 30 minutes there, what you need to do, and write notes in there just as reminders. And then in the bottom, in the PM section, this thing cuts off at 8:45 p.m. The stuff between 6 and 8:45 to me is a notes section, and I'm writing in there. If I recorded stuff to a direct client, I put their name and how many words it was or whatever, and that way I know to bill it, and then I can scratch that off as I get done. And a lot of people say, why don't you use Outlook, or why don't you use this or that? I like pen and paper for that. And then I've got my steno pad where I'm just making notes. If I got to, get a pronunciation on something and make it phonetic on a piece of paper, I might be making notes for the next podcast, for this podcast or the chamber podcast or the ENC construction podcast, and doing things like that. So those notes kind of keep me fresh and keep me from being burned out, because it's a way to keep up with things. So that's another way I think it can help you. Gosh, what are the other things I've done? I've went and taken a drive. If it's raining or too cold to do what I want to do outside, I'd get my truck or the car and just go take a drive. And if my wife's here and she's up and she's not at the barn, I'll say, hey, you want to go for a ride real quick? And just, we'll go find a road close to us that we haven't driven. And, we'll go back in that road and look at some of the houses, and we'll look at the features on the houses and the woodwork and the way the shutters are made. And there's a lot of natural wood and white going on in the South right now, a lot of white painted brick. People are painting their brick houses white, and they're putting this natural cedar-looking wood trim on, and I really like the look. So we go look at stuff like that and get ideas. Not that we'll ever do them, but it's fun to do. It helps you get rid of the burnout, right? Another thing that is not bad is take a nap. Don't take a 2-hour nap. Set your alarm for 20, 30 minutes, because you're not going to go to sleep instant, and get that 15 to 20 minute nap, a power nap. Some people say that's too long. I'm sorry. I don't want to put my head down for less than that. But that helps me recharge, because if I feel myself getting tired, my head's going over, I'm yawning as I'm reading these long form narrations, and I'm having to hit my clicker because I'm yawning and, clean up that yawn and whatever. It's time to take a break. And sometimes the going outside and the walking and the breathing the fresh air will take care of it. But sometimes I really do. I didn't sleep good the night before, and maybe I need to lay down for a minute or plop back in the recliner for, a few minutes. And then one of the last ones I do is a good healthy snack. Go get an apple, go get some grapes or something that, it tastes good. It's kind of sweet, good for you. Go eat a little snack and see if it revs your system back up. And that's kind of how I handle long-term, short-term burnout. There's other ways. I know there's a million other ways, and, do what works for you. But if burnout really becomes long-term burnout and you're really struggling with that, then that's a whole new deal. That is definitely a whole new deal. That is something of where you're making a decision, do I want to keep doing this? Now, the stuff I'm talking about is I'm just working my tail off and I need a break. But if you're having the type of burnout where you're like, I just don't know if I want to do this anymore. I don't really enjoy it. I'm not really sure that this is what I want to do. And that's different. Then if that's the case, you need to be talking to somebody. You need to be, whether it's your spouse, whether it's, God forbid, heck, you may need to go see a counselor or a doctor. Maybe you're having anxiety over all of this. And I'm learning about anxiety because I never thought I ever had anxiety, but I'm learning that I can have anxiety. I had it in Gatlinburg. I've never been afraid of heights and riding roller coasters and stuff like that, but I went up on the skylift thing and I had a little anxiety up there. I don't think it was the height. I think it was the quote unquote instability that I felt like it wasn't solid. You know what I'm saying? And we went across a bunch of swinging bridges that were way up in the air. Didn't bother me that they were way up in the air. It bothered me that they were swinging in the instability. And what if it went all the way upside down? There's no, and it's not gonna. But I'm thinking that way. And as I get older, I think all that changes. I standing on a platform around one of the trees and it rocking back and forth. It just didn't feel right to me anymore. And so I learned a lot about myself when I was gone, that you used to be a guy that wasn't afraid of anything. And now, I'm learning that it wasn't the height. And my wife figured that out. I didn't even think about it. She said, it wasn't the height. You wasn't scared of the heights. You were looking down and enjoying that. But it was the fact that it moved and it wasn't stable. And she was 100% right. That was exactly what bothered me. Because I thought, if I'm on a roller coaster, that thing's stable. It's going, it's moving and flying, and, you're zipping around. But when you're on that bridge, that's pretty darn scary. But anyway, well, listen, this has gone on for long enough, I guess. But I hope this helps somebody. If you're in a burnout mode, short term, long term, or any term at all, hopefully this will be a help to you. And, take it for what it is. But if it's deeper than that, take that for what it is and be sure. Hey, thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time right here on the VO Life.
This was the VO Life. It's over. For now. Yay! Oh, aren't you all so glad?
This has been the VO Life with Troy Holden. If you'd like to consult with Troy one-on-one, visit his website and schedule time at troyholdenvoices.com. Join the VO Live Facebook page and interact with other new voice talent. Join the VO workouts or the midweek meetup on the VO Live page events. And be sure and leave a review on Apple and let us know what you'd like us to cover on the podcast. You can also get all of the episodes on Troy's YouTube page. Just search for Troy Holden Voices. That boy is everywhere. TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn. Next thing you know, he'll have a streaming TV show. God forbid. And I will.